Hey there, welcome to the Healthy Vibes podcast. I'm Kelly Renato, and I thank you so very, very much for joining me today. I have a great conversation today with Stacey Millhorn. She's the owner of 2 Pure Sweat studios in Utah, and we discuss all of the benefits and just the amazing therapies of infrared saunas, full spectrum infrared saunas, and magnesium float therapy. Her studios sound like just dreamy and wonderful, and I want you to listen to her journey from working in the pharmaceutical industry, experiencing her own migraine, muscle joint pain, lack of sleep and stress, and her willingness to look for an alternative option. And here she is now owning 2 studios with magnesium float therapy and full spectrum infrared saunas. So please listen in. It's a great, great, great story. All right. Hey, Stacey, thank you so much for being with me today. I'm really excited to talk about what you're doing these days.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I love that our worlds have, paths have come back to cross.
I know, and I love that. We crossed through Pilates in the health world, and your studios that you have 2 studios out in Utah are so exciting with the health. What's going on in the health world today with infrared and magnesium float therapy. I just can't wait to talk about the benefits and all of what you're doing out there. But I would love to hear first from you because your background is you have a lot in your background for sure. Can you tell us just the highlights of where you were? And I want to hear because I know you have a bit of your own health story that brought
Mhm.
you to find Pure Sweat Studios and open your own. So if we could just hear from you a little bit about you first.
Absolutely. So I, straight out of college, started in pharma. And it's interesting because I feel like at this point in my life, really learning the balance between traditional and alternative modalities or, healthcare to treat the whole person versus just being in one bucket or the other. But I suffered from chronic pain. I have migraines, jaw, neck. I ended up with a full shoulder replacement in my mid 40s. And so that initially led me to Pilates, which is obviously how we connected. And I found that there was a lot of benefits from a rehab perspective there versus doing like really traditional stuff with heavy weights or kind of crazy workouts. And then we moved to Nashville in 2016 and just continued to have issues. I didn't have my shoulder replacement yet. I had had previous surgery and just still was in a lot of pain and started reading about the benefits of full spectrum infrared. And Pure Sweat offers sunlight and saunas, and they are the industry leader in infrared using 3 different wavelengths of light. So most infrared only penetrates your body at the full spectrum, so going deepest into your body. Sunlight has added the mid and the near, and the mid is what targets muscles and joints. And so I started getting a great amount of pain relief, my mental health. I just was more relaxed, less anxiety. And they actually introduced me to floating. I had no idea what it was at that point. And at first I was like, you just want me to lay in water? Like that seems so odd. And I did it and had the best night sleep. And so started doing that regularly. Got off of like, they kept giving me anti-inflammatories, muscle stuff, sleep stuff. And I was like, I don't feel great on all this medicine. So I was able to get off of that stuff, utilizing the sauna frequently and the float because it has so much magnesium in it. And then when we moved to Utah, I was on a mission to find something similar and could not find anything like it. There were places that had saunas, but they weren't sunlightened, or if they were, just the place was very medicinal or transactional feeling. And so the founder of Pure Sweat had already franchised within Tennessee. And about the time we were looking to just create our own studio, she decided to franchise outside of Tennessee. So I was like, oh, this is a no brainer. So we opened the second location outside of Tennessee in Park City, May of 2023. And then we opened South Jordan in November of 2023.
So you were the second location of all of theirs?
Outside of Nashville.
Outside of
So
Nashville.
yeah,
Okay.
there's a handful of them in Nashville, Clarksville, Brentwood, Cool Springs, and then Grimes, Iowa was the first outside of Tennessee, and then we were the second in Park City.
Very cool. I didn't realize that. That's because
Yep.
I was on the website, and they're really like spreading. I saw ones coming to Tampa, which is the closest to me, I think. Um, but that's neat that you were the second one
Yeah.
outside of there. Yeah.
Yes. So we love it.
Oh, well, you're briefly touching on what you do there. But gosh, there's so many layers and so many benefits because I know these days in the news, in the health world, infrared, first of all, I know there's so many tools that can give you infrared from what we read, and I'm nowhere near super knowledgeable on the subject. But the fact that it's combined with a sauna is
Mhm.
so cool to me. So let's start with that. Can you tell me? Well, with your background though, you said you were feeling all that. So your pain and your sleep and all of that improved from that completely. Do you
Yes,
feel?
yeah, yeah. And
Wow.
even still, I know like if I start to get stressed or I'm not sleeping well, I'm like, oh, it's time to get in the flow or the sauna, kind of depending upon how I'm feeling. But you're right, there's so much about infrared now. And in the United States, we're so behind Europe. Like they have saunaed for so long and, have public bathhouses and whatnot. And infrared has definitely become more popular. And we even use it in the NICU to heat babies. So it's a
Oh,
safe wavelength of light. You can use it every day. And we find people as far as, what it can how you can benefit or, what conditions it benefits, Lyme disease, heavy metal and mold toxicity, which unfortunately there's so many more people being diagnosed with that. Either, it's in their home or I've had kids that come home from college and they've had black mold in their dorm. We were a big mining area here in Utah, so there's a lot of heavy metal in water and, just exposure and air quality. And yeah, the mental health benefits. So it was really crazy being in Florida kids for so long. When we moved to Tennessee, I had no idea they get more rain in Nashville than they do in Seattle, which blew my mind. And when
whoa.
I know,
I didn't know that.
I just thought it was like that's what I was told anyways. But I had no idea seasonal affect disorder. Like you think about that, like the Northeast or the Northwest, and there would just be days of gray in Tennessee. And so I asked my doctor, I'm like, I just feel off. And she's like, oh yeah, seasonal affect, very common. And so the sauna helps with that as well. We've got chromotherapy in our saunas, which is light therapy. And so I have since learned that each color of light has its own frequency. So whether you can see it or not, there are benefits to the light therapy, in addition to the three wavelengths of infrared. In addition to, we keep our saunas at 150, they go up to 170. They don't even need to be at 150. Infrared is actually more beneficial at a lower temperature, but people really like to sweat to get that detox. So there's a lot of things happening, and all you have to do is just relax in the sauna. We do offer hand weights and resistance bands and a lacrosse ball and a muscle roller. So if you want to make it a workout, you can. If you want to make it more recovery, that's an option as well.
Wow, there's a lot going on in there. I feel like I would sweat much lower than 150. The
Oh
fact
yeah. Oh yeah.
right?
Oh
But
yeah.
that's
Well, and it's funny too because people expect, I mean, you're familiar with the traditional sauna. So you go to a health
yes.
club or a gym and they're 200 plus degrees, they're very hot because they're kind of wet. A lot of times they stink a little bit.
Hmm.
And so these are private. We are freakishly crazy about cleaning. But yeah, a lot of people are surprised. They're like, I thought I would start sweating right away, and I started sweating halfway through. And the reason is because you're being heated at a cellular level with the infrared versus heating the air around you. So it's not walk in and just like lose your breath and dripping sweat. So it's much more comfortable.
Gotcha. Okay. So you have all those things, and you said it's safe to do. So you could go in the infrared sauna every day.
You can go in daily. Yeah, we have
Wow.
some clients, one in particular that came to us from a naturopath, a functional medicine doctor, and just said she was prescribed sauna for inflammation, which is the sauna is so good for inflammation. And so many of us have underlying
Hmm.
inflammation that shows up in different ways. But um, several months ago, she's been with us a year now, but several months ago, she said she went to a rheumatologist and she's like, I knew I was feeling better, but he cut all of my meds down.
Oh,
So that was pretty
nice.
cool. Yes,
Very
yeah. So
cool.
to see, we have a lot of data, like I said, Lyme disease, breast implant illness, et cetera, cleaning the body out, and working on that inflammation. But pretty amazing when clients are saying, oh, yeah, this is happening to me.
Yes, I was going to say, I bet that just makes you feel, you know, it works, but to hear someone experience it is the best.
It does.
Um,
And so going back to the frequency, so she's on an unlimited sauna package, so she comes more frequently. But yeah, it's completely safe.
and how long are the sessions usually?
So our sessions are 45 minutes. We've got a little wellness lounge. So if you want electrolytes or symbiotic supplements, we have chilled sheet masks to make it a little more spa-like. And then we get you situated. There's a timer on the wall for 45 minutes. So we set that, and then you don't have to worry about how long you're in there. We have had some clients that say, this is new to me. I only want to be in here for half an hour or 20 something minutes, which they can do. And then with the heat as well, keeping them at 150, we can obviously lower that. But we have some clients, if they get warm, they can open the door. You're still getting the infrared all around you. The panels are in the wall. So even if you're cooling off or you let some of the heat out, you're still getting the benefits of all three wavelengths at the same time.
I love that though, because I'm one of those that would probably feel that way. I feel, but I'm sure you'd get used to it, but it would be like a gradual. So you still get benefits. So is there a minimum time that you need to be in there to get benefits?
I don't know that there's a minimum. A lot of research will say, get in the sauna for 20 plus minutes several times a week.
Okay.
Most people love it. It's so relaxing. People are like, this feels like vacation.
That's what I'm thinking, listening to
Oh,
you,
yeah.
all the things that you just described.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sounds wonderful. And then to be getting all those benefits. So let's go back to the benefits. And obviously, the big difference between a traditional sauna and this is what you explained. That yours is a little bit lower, but that's your choice.
Hmm.
But it's the infrared is the big difference, right? That you have
Exactly.
both in
Yes.
there.
Yes.
And the infrared is what is so big now because you see masks, I've seen back wraps, I've seen so many things that you can use for your
Hmm.
face, your body. And someone had recommended it to me. It's probably been over a year or so for my son when he was healing from something like a back wrap. Um, but going in and getting it in your whole body sounds amazing. So it's going to the cellular level. And what exactly is it doing?
So the different wavelengths do different things or target different things. So that far wavelength that we discussed goes to blood organs. So that's where you're getting your detoxification. It's improving your immunity, really beneficial for weight loss. And then the idea is that it's creating a safe environment of heat. So just like when you have a cold or the flu and your body creates, you get a fever, it's fighting. And so it's basically giving you a faux fever so that it's safely raising your body temperature through heat shock proteins and flushing things out of your system. The mid light, like I mentioned, targets muscles and joints. So that's where you're really going to see cardiovascular benefits at both the far and the mid. In fact, there's data looking at reduction of mortality and morbidity benefits using infrared sauna. It's helping with that circulation, making sure your heart is healthy. There's now data out looking at reduction or delayed in dementia and Alzheimer's. And again, that inflammation. So I'm coming from selling a product, ironically, that dealt with type 2 inflammation. So type 1 being more like rheumatoid arthritis, et cetera. And there's medications for that. And type 2 being asthma, eczema, things, in the skin. and reducing that inflammation at that level. And then the skin is where that near is targeting. So it's going into the skin further than red light, which has become popular. Red light doesn't penetrate as far. A lot of red light beds have near infrared in them, but you're not getting the benefits of the far and the mid infrared as well. So the mid is targeting, I'm sorry, the near is targeting so skin, so wound healing. Again, if you have eczema or any type of skin stuff going on, inflammation. So we've got a young man in the studio and he has eczema on his trunk. And within the first probably 4 or 5 weeks of working at the studio, he cleared completely.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Hmm. Yeah.
So when you go in there, are you getting all three when you're in there, far, mid, and near, or do you choose, or how does that work?
You get all three,
All three.
fortunately. So those are
Wow.
happening. And that's, again, that's a Sunlighten thing that they were the ones, the industry leaders in that. So you get all three. We do get asked that quite a bit because when you walk people through the far, the mid, the near, they're like, well, which one do I pick? I'm like, no, no, you get all of them.
Wow.
And then again, the heat is just really to increase the body temperature, but it's the infrared that's going in at a cellular level and heating the body.
Wow. That is amazing. So obviously the far goes deepest, and then the
Mhm.
mid goes mid, and then the near is your skin. Wow,
Yes.
that's pretty amazing. So how often, I mean, I feel that you're probably fortunate, but I know as a business owner, you're extremely busy. So how often do you personally get to go in it?
Oh
Do
my
you,
gosh, I wish it was more, Kelly. I between the two studios, do not get in as often as I would like, but I do try to get in a couple times a week. Ideally, we have memberships and packages and things, so it makes it affordable to come in more frequently, so 2 to 3 times a week. And then I try to sauna and float at least once a month. That's one that I'd love to do a couple times a month, just because of the benefits of doing the both together.
yeah, I can't wait to hear about that too. Well, and you're so new. I mean, new. You've had so the first one you opened how long ago?
It was May of 2023, so we just had our 1 year anniversary a few months ago.
Congratulations. That's really
Thank
exciting.
you.
And then the
Thanks.
second one will be
The
a year.
second one was November, so we'll be at 1 year coming up here soon.
Wow. I mean, that's like early stages of business. I remember those stages. Very exciting though to grow but it's busy.
It is
So,
busy.
and you don't get as much as you want, but you need it. At least you're getting it a few times a week. Um,
Yes.
wow. Okay. So, and can you go in the sauna? Is it always by yourself or can you do duos or groups or?
We have two-person options. So
Okay.
we opted, Sunlighten has prefab and they're in different sizes. We have custom saunas. So they're eucalyptus wood and they're 6 feet long. So if my husband's 6 feet, so he can get in there and really stretch out. But we've also been in together. So we give you a backrest and some towels and things while you're in there. But you can definitely do a date night. We've had a lot of fun, like girls' day or like lunchtime kind of things. We offer wraps and robes, so you don't have to sweat in your clothes, but you can, have a little like wrap on. And then we offer chilled peppermint oil towels afterwards to refresh yourself. We've also had parents and kids, which has been really fun because the kids love the chromotherapy. They get to pick the color and as long as they're in with their parent, but they really seem to enjoy it as well, and again getting all the health benefits from it with mom or dad.
Well, I love that though, teaching your kids that there are other therapies. Not, I feel like we've all been so trained, and you've come extreme from one world of medicine to the other, and I agree with you. There's a place for both, but it's that path of opening your mind to not just. I just feel like we were raised to just go to the doctor, get the medicine, fix the problem, rather than think, is there something else we can do here?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
sometimes there is a place for it, but um, so and are there any like anything you should be cautious about, or people that need to maybe check with their doctor or not necessarily do
Yeah,
it
I
right
mean, if you
away?
have any chronic condition, I would always check with a medical professional. Pregnancy, no sauna, but amazing for float in second and third trimester.
Oh gosh.
After surgery, we've had a lot of people because of the inflammation. It helps, flush out some of the stuff, anesthesia, things like that. But we always recommend checking with your doctor to make sure you are safe to go in. If you have a fever, so if you're already really sick, we don't want you in the sauna. If you start to feel like the tickle in the throat kind of thing, definitely get in the sauna. It helps break that cycle and get some of the ick out.
So with what you just said, is it more like germ spreading that you wouldn't want people to get in it? Like if it was their own sauna at home and they were really sick, would it help them to get in it?
If you have a fever, they just don't want you, right? Because it's going to continue to raise your body
Oh,
temperature.
yeah, that
But
makes
if you
sense.
don't have a fever and you've just got like, we're going, back to school and all the things. So we've had people coming in, they're like, I need to buy the vitamin C, or I definitely need some elderberry, that's got some zinc and stuff in it to knock out whatever my kid has just brought home. So as if you start to feel it, it's a good time to get in. But if you're really sick and have a flu or fever and whatnot, they just don't recommend getting in the sauna. Your body temperature is already elevated and fighting.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, Gosh, do some of your people like have memberships, but also like maybe because they can't afford like unlimited, do they do stuff on their own as well? Have you heard of that because they love it so much?
Yeah, so our memberships, I mean, we have a 12 sauna membership, and I think at the current time it's like 19 or $16 a sauna. So it's very affordable. You can share it with a plus one at no additional cost. Um, but I've had a handful, and we did the same thing in Nashville. I've had a handful of clients that are like, I love this so much and I want to share it. We had a family, gosh, I think everybody in the family had Lyme disease. And so they were like,
Oh
with the
my
kids and
gosh.
the mom and the dad. Yeah. So they ended up buying their own sauna. I just always recommend buying a Sunlighten or Full Spectrum. So people are like, oh, I can get one at Costco. I'm like, it's not the same thing. And so Sunlighten has been incredible to work with. I'll refer them to our sales associate, and they work on their side, getting them discounts and making it something that they can put in their home. I have a girlfriend in California. She came to Utah, loved the sauna. Her husband is an ultra athlete, so 100+ mile runs. And she was like, oh, he needs this in our backyard. So she was able to put one in their home as well.
That's awesome. Well, I'm thinking, once coming to Tampa, and I would love to go to Utah just to have a trip and experience yours. But for people that aren't living near one yet, it sounds like they're coming though, because I can see they're really like growing, which is exciting. So the brand you said is Sunlighten, that is yours?
Sunlighten. Yep, that's who we
Okay.
use for our saunas. Yes.
Sunlighten,
And
and
they
you
have
said
tons
full
of research
spectrum.
online. Yes,
That's
full
exciting.
spectrum. That's what you want. And a lot of the biohackers, so people that are starting to get really into the biohacker world, like Dave Asprey, Dr. Will
Hmm.
Cole, they are big fans of Sunlighten because of the full spectrum.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. Well, that's
Yeah.
so interesting though. I love to just learn that part of it because if you're going to do some, at least for me, if I'm going to do something regularly, I like to understand like not just that it's helping me, but how it's helping me. I just think it's such
Absolutely.
a big thing. Um, so that's exciting. So I want to move on now to the magnesium float therapy because once
Yeah.
again, magnesium is such a big topic out there, and there's so many different ways that you can get magnesium. Take supplements, rub it on, and I have heard of like putting it in the bath. Putting it your feet in a bucket, but floating in magnesium sounds amazing to me. It just sounds like there has to be such good benefits of it coming through your skin, your
Mm.
entire body. So, describe for us first what the experience is. Like, what is involved when you come in to get magnesium float therapy?
It's so difficult to explain without seeing it. It's funny, I've had a few clients lately that have started floating and they're like, how do you explain this to people? Like, I don't even know that I can. I was like, I know it's something that you really need to experience, but I will do my best. So we use Superior float tanks. They are the premier float company on the market. Reason being, they have filtration systems that clean the water in addition to filtering it. So I think it's always very important to let people know you are floating in clean water.
Yeah, I was wondering.
It's
I mean, I knew it would be
Yes,
clean,
it's
but
a
it's great to hear that.
one of the first questions. They're like, "Are you emptying that?" I'm like, "No, it's way too much water." So it's cleaned with UV ozone and a microdose of medical grade hydrogen peroxide throughout the day and before and after clients, as well as the water being filtered. We test the pH, we test the salinity. I just tell people, I'm like, it's like a colicky baby. Like, we are very, very on top of taking care of the float, so that everybody has a great experience. But we use something called a suite instead of a pod. So there's a lot of places out there, they look like big eggs, and you get in and you close the top on yourself. Ours is a suite instead. So it's basically a room within a room. It's 7 feet tall, 7 feet long. So there's not as much concern about claustrophobia or, being closed in a space. And there's stars on the ceiling, and there's light underwater, and then instrumental music. We have like heart chakra and Tibetan bowls. It's such a beautiful experience. Inside the suite, the clients have customization for themselves. So if they want the stars off, they have a button for that. If they want the volume at a different level or off, there's a button for that. And then there's also a button for the light under the water. So some people just getting into float, they want to try, like, I'll have the stars on, maybe the music off or on. But there's sensory deprivation, so rest. So it's restricted external stimulus. So as you can imagine, this day and age, phones, iPads, TV, traffic, like the radio, there's so many things coming at us all the time. And so
Mhm.
getting into the float and not having any of that allows your body to go into rest and digest versus fight or flight. So your parasympathetic nervous system is impacted in a positive way. But there's 1,500 pounds of medical grade Epsom salt in the water. So to your point, magnesium sulfate, one of the, I think, 7 or 9 magnesiums, and our skin is our largest organ. So we have people shower off, we have organic products in the studio, and then you open a door, you step over a threshold, and you're in about 10 to 12 inches of water. And as soon as you lay back, you just pop up onto the top of the water. So people that have never floated before have said, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. I've never had this sensation before, which I find pretty interesting. And the water is body temperature. So as you settle in and relax, you and the water start to become one. We have a headrest. So if you want, a thick or thin headrest, you can. I, at this point, go with no headrest. We offer earplugs. So you just have to show up. And
Wow.
our most common session is 40 minutes. We have a 60-minute, and then we have something called a float boost that we do Monday through Fridays. And that's just 25 minutes. That's literally just dipping your toe. Like, let me just see if I like this. Or it's popular after a sauna.
Wow. So you truly are floating. Like, I was
Hmm.
really envisioning kind of like a bathtub, but
Oh, no.
you're really floating, but your head can be on a rest if you don't want your head, or your head needs to be like partially under too, like with
Your
earplugs.
head, the thicker neck doodle will keep your head almost completely out of the water. It's probably like 3 or so inches thick. And then we have a thin headrest. And really, I think it's just more for people relaxing into the water. You'll have clients, some of them get in, they're really easy. They just relax, they drift off into that theta state, which is, kind of like when you're getting a massage, like you're not quite awake, not quite asleep. It's a very creative space for your brain. Um, but you don't need it. I find myself sometimes, I don't use one, but I'll find myself like holding tension in my neck or shoulders. And people will tell you, gosh, the first few minutes, my lower back hurt or my neck hurt. And then I realized I just needed to trust the water, just relax into it. The pain goes away. Your body, because you're buoyant, you are being put into proper alignment. So if you're a head forward kind of person and hold a lot of tension in your neck, relaxing into that, it's going the opposite direction, basically, that it may be a little uncomfortable to get there. But most people find once they relax and trust the water, they're very comfortable.
I can see that. That's what I'm thinking, that transition of trusting the water and letting go. Because, like you said, our life is filled with like control and tension, and
Mm.
being able to just let go. I can just imagine how good that is for us. But I'm sure there is a little bit of a transition to get there. But magnesium itself, and I know there's so many different magnesiums. So, why is magnesium sulfate the one that's used?
So it's medical grade Epsom salt is what we use in it, and that is magnesium sulfate. So it's very good for muscle recovery or muscle soreness. So again, being in there and just relaxing. It's also really good to improve sleep, as well as being in the float is great for reduction of cortisol levels or stress, which I feel like all of us can use.
Absolutely.
And that's just the type, just that's what Epsom salt is. We use a Symbiotica magnesium L-threonate in the studio as a supplement that's good for cognition, memory, brain health. But like you said, there's so many different types of magnesium. Numerous things in our body use magnesium to, work efficiently. So really important. And about 80% of adults are magnesium deficient.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I believe that. So, and I think, and this might be too off topic, I don't know, but like you said, which I did see that supplement because you, when I was on your website, what's the brand that you said you have in the
Oh,
studio?
Symbiotica.
Symbiotica, because
Yes.
I was reading that one. Because I think with magnesium it gets confusing because you know you need it, but then you don't know which one, and then you realize you need multiple ones, and then you're like, can I take all of them? Or it's just it's a big topic, right?
Absolutely.
So if you're doing that float therapy regularly, which sounds wonderful, then it's okay still to take your magnesium supplements or, whatever you already probably were doing, I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's, citrate, there's magnesium glycinate, malate. I mean, there's all different types of magnesium that work on different functions within the body. So this is just giving you the sulfate in the float. And then if you opt, like I said, if you're taking, we carry the magnesium L-threonate. So if you were to take that, that's a different form of magnesium. There's people that take, magnesium citrate for stomach, GI stuff. So, yeah, absolutely. And again, I mean, if it's something you're concerned about, we've got a client recently, he's got type 1 diabetes, and he's like, I just want to check with my endocrinologist. These are all really clean products. I love Symbiotica because I get migraines. A lot of products on the market have soy in them, and that is a trigger for migraines, plus soy in general, a lot of it not great for you. And it's liposomal technology. So it's a liquid, they're like little shots and they actually taste good. But they're basically wrapped in a lipid bubble, like a little, best way to describe it. I'm like, it's like a little magic bubble that has the ingredients tucked inside so that it makes it through your GI tract. So you're actually absorbing all of the product. Most forms, or pills or what people are taking for supplements, and your GI system breaks down about 70 to 80% of it. So you're not actually getting all of the ingredients. And we like Symbiotica because they're little individually wrapped packets. Air isn't getting to the ingredients, so it's not being degraded. There's some other products on the market that are liposomal, but they're in a bottle and you're supposed to keep it in your refrigerator. But as you take it, there's more air getting into the bottle, so it actually starts to break down the product.
Gotcha. That's interesting. That's good information, though. We've come so far with supplements and,
Hmm.
and it's like really to get through all that noise and knowing that whatever you spend your money on and you're taking, you're getting the most benefit from. And with
Absolutely.
magnesium, I just think there's multiple, as what you just said, magnesiums that we probably all need. It just
Yeah.
keeps decreasing.
Yes, I know, unfortunately, right? Like everything else as you age, it's like, oh, that's the other thing with the infrared. Those of us over 30 are not making a whole lot of collagen anymore. So that near
Right.
infrared reminds your body make collagen. Of course, that's, supporting your skin. You've got collagen in your muscles and, your joints, like your connective tissue. So yes, lots of good things as we get older to use the sauna and the float.
Yes, of course, but that's pretty cool. So it reminds your skin to make more collagen.
It just signals to your body to make collagen. Yeah.
I like that. So the
Yeah.
benefits, I mean, and there's probably some that we haven't even. So when it comes to magnesium float therapy, I'll stay there for a second. Um, because you said you had migraines, so
Hmm.
both of these helped with your migraines, or do you think one helped more than the other?
I think the float helps more because it's magnesium. And so if I get a really bad migraine, I've got breakthrough therapy and whatnot. But if you are dehydrated or you need additional minerals, magnesium is one of the things that they'll give you to break that cycle. And using magnesium regularly just helps minimize or prevent some of the extreme feelings of migraine. One of the things from a brain health perspective, we have athletes, Olympians, X game winners, champion competitors that sought us out for concussion.
Oh, wow.
So the Superior Float Tanks is on numerous, apparently, of our military bases, and they use floating for PTSD to help treat
Oh, wow.
PTSD, yes, as well as traumatic brain injury and then concussion. So yeah, just taking care of their brain in that way as well. I don't think I've ever suffered a concussion, maybe, but it is very beneficial for that as well. And then the PTSD, our studio in Clarksville was opened by Laurel. She unfortunately suffered from breast implant illness, and her husband is active military and has been deployed numerous times. And they were driving to Nashville for infrared for her and floating for him. And they ended up opening their studio. And of course, they are in a big military area in Clarksville. So they've been able to help their community tremendously through infrared sauna and floating.
Wow, what a great story.
Hmm.
Gosh, and I love to hear that it's on military bases, like the fact that we are using this to help people.
Definitely.
Um, so, how often can people float each week?
You can float as many times as you like. We've got some people who like to float every few days. Some people, our memberships are set up for two a month, but then we have packages that make it a little easier to float as frequently as you like. But most people, I'd say, are doing twice a month, sometimes in conjunction with the sauna, sometimes just on its own. But you can float, I mean, regularly. And again, I mean, the mental health benefits, the physical benefits of it, um, are felt each time that you do it. There's science now. There's a gentleman by the name of Dr. Justin Feinstein who's been doing a lot of research on floating, and there's published data now showing that the mental health benefits, the physical benefits can be felt for a minimum of 48 hours post float. So, clients that float for the first time, we usually check in with them about 48 hours and they're like, oh my gosh, I slept so well. I was so relaxed. There's a lot of people, first time they come out of the float, and we joke, it's not funny, but we're like, oh, total yoga brain. Like they just need a minute to like collect themselves. We have hot tea in the studio so they can just kind of relax with us if they want. But it really is I just think it's such a magical experience. And it is, people are like, oh, I floated in the Dead Sea. I'm like, yes, but not the same thing.
Wow. Well, listening to you describe it, it sounds magical. And I'm sitting here thinking, because it's just like the infrared sauna, the magnesium float has multiple ways that it's giving you benefits, right? Not only the
Absolutely.
magnesium, but the actual floating. Like you keep talking about the floating, and it sounds like
Hmm.
just the float. Because even, I had a good friend that got magnesium and she would take baths with it at a night, or she would get her husband to put his feet in it. And then I know there's like, lotions and creams with magnesium. But what you're
Hmm.
describing, like, just sounds like the ultimate experience of not just getting the magnesium, but being able to completely check out and let your body almost relax to get the full benefits of it. Because
Absolutely.
floating in itself, and I'm sure floating in my pool is not the same either, but it is very relaxing.
Exactly. It's funny you say that is we have so many pregnant clients, so second and third trimester, and I've not had children, but I know you have. And a lot of people will say like, "Oh my gosh, at the end of my pregnancy, I just wanted to like be in a pool or somewhere that's
Oh, yes.
relieving all of that pressure." And your body's going through so many changes and joints and things are moving all over the place. And so clients, especially we had one specifically, she was coming in every few days to float, and she's like, will you please cut my float 10 minutes? I want to listen to my birthing soundtrack in the shower. And she would use the neck doodles and things to support her body in various ways, but relieving the pressure, lower back, your hips, just being buoyant. And again,
Oh,
helping with sleep, especially in that third trimester. We have a lot of very happy pregnant clients floating.
gosh, that sounds wonderful. And I remember both of my pregnancies and my one going into August. And you might have been in the studio at that time. And I would have loved, I didn't have a pool at the time, but I would have loved to just sit in a pool. But I'm thinking the benefits probably for the baby as well, like that peacefulness and that calming, and it's got to be so good all around.
Yeah, I would think so. A lot of people will say, like, oh, as they start to drift off and that water becomes one with them, they're like, I just felt like a heartbeat and a head. And so I've even been in the float before where you kind of drift off and I'm like, oh, wait. And I'll like wiggle my fingers. I'm like, yep, still here. So I don't know. I don't, I mean, I'm sure it would be a really nice experience, just connecting with your baby in a different way while in utero. And what's interesting too, speaking on pregnancy and the float, is that we call, a lot of people call turning everything off just sensory deprivation, no lights, no sound. But when you go totally dark, we also call it being in the womb. And I had a client, I am adopted. This client is also adopted. And some people have trouble getting into the float and really relaxing. And she shared with me, she's like, I don't know that the float was for me. I really love the sauna. I was like, okay, that's fine. I said, what was going on? She goes, this may sound crazy. I was like, highly unlikely. I'm sure we've heard, something like it. And she shared with me that she's adopted. And she said it was very emotional for me. It felt like being in the womb. And I said, that does
Oh,
not sound crazy because that is what we call it. And she has tried it again since, but was unsure if she wanted to. And so that's just one example of people saying, I don't know if it's for me. Some people get in there and you are with your own thoughts, right? We have our
right.
suites large enough that you can go with two people. We've had kids in there as well with parents, or parents will sit outside the float and a child will float in the suite by themselves. But um, people will come out and go, I don't know, that wasn't for me. Okay, what was going on? I just, oh my gosh, my brain, I was thinking, etc. And so it's really an opportunity to ask clients, where else are things maybe difficult? Like maybe this is an opportunity for you to grow personally
Hmm.
in a safe space. Like if these are things that you're not exploring, out on your own, it's like, oh, I start thinking about something and like I'm going to get on the phone or listen to music or, do something else to distract myself. It can be very healing in that way and have the opportunity to, challenge yourself, so to speak.
That's exactly what I was thinking. The fact that they're saying this isn't for me, it's almost like, yes, it is for you. It looks like this is something that you really need.
You
And
actually need
just
it. Yes.
exactly like when I tell people just to find quiet every day, oh, I can't do that. I'm like, well, you actually probably need to do that then. If you are unable to sit in your quiet, like it's like a practice. It's something you
Hmm.
have to start little by little. And I can see where that would, because I could see my mind spinning too. Because you just think, well, I got to do this, I got to do that, but it's almost like your mind and body's craving it, like it just needs it. Um, so, are they in
Absolutely.
bathing suits?
It's up to you. So we have friends that come together and they bring their bathing suits. We always recommend doing everything in your birthday suit. So it's really your level of comfort. We're good with whatever. It's private. So if you want to go, with your partner, a lot of people just don't wear bathing suits. Some people feel more comfortable in bathing suits. So that's cool too.
Okay, that's good. And then my other thought as I'm listening to you, like the falling asleep. Do people fall asleep floating? Or, I guess it safe? Because you seem so relaxed.
People do fall asleep. In fact, again, going into that theta state, um, you it's like the dreamland. Like you're not quite asleep, you're not quite awake. And I love getting there. People will come out and they're like, I don't know if I fell asleep or I don't know if I was awake. And I'm like, that's very normal. You might have just been in that in between. I love falling asleep or getting into theta. I feel like not that you're like measuring the quote unquote success of a float, but when I kind of come back to and I'm like, ooh, I think I drifted off. Um, I love that feeling because
Yeah.
it's just, I was really able to surrender to everything going on. My husband jokes, I talk about the float like, well, these are the benefits and this is what's happening. And he said, the way you need to explain the float is it's like a massage, but better. I'm like, okay. He said, you're able to get in there. You can really unwind because, again, it's just you. And he's like, and then you get out and you feel like you've slept for 8 hours. So some people find it incredibly restorative.
Yeah, I can see that. So I just want to make sure I haven't missed any of the benefits because I know we've talked about, migraines, muscles, pains, joint pain, rheumatoid arthritis, pregnancy. Mentioned Lyme disease. Is there anything big that you've seen with your clients or that other places have seen that maybe we've missed? Just sleeping. You said sleeping.
Yeah, sleep. I think clients, once they start using it, they'll tell you that they miss it. So if they haven't, say they've gone on vacation or, everyone's just coming back from very busy summers traveling, gosh, my tennis elbow, my sciatica, or just kind of the overall feeling like people really use it as an opportunity just to check out. In Utah, we opted not to have any type of entertainment in our sauna room. Some of them have TVs or there's like in the prefab, there's a little Android tablet and you can watch things. And when clients initially start coming, they feel the need to, I need to watch Netflix or I need to listen to a podcast or I need, some, again, going back to that, like, oh, we're so used to being distracted and busy
Right.
and watching them go from that to, oh, well, I listened to, the Calm app or a meditation app or, you know what, I didn't even take my phone in today. I practiced on my breathing. I've had clients, including myself, that have fallen asleep. It is so relaxing in there. So it's nice to see people really use it as an opportunity to check out
Check out.
40, yeah,
Exactly.
45 minutes out of your entire day to yourself to just focus on yourself. It's 45 minutes,
Right.
not a
And give
long
yourself
time.
a calm. Like, I do believe we all need some sort of calm and quiet, just the stopping of everything. Like, so good for you for not putting any of the entertainment in there. Cause I can see how I remember the first time my husband had a massage. He was so uncomfortable with it. And I scheduled it and someone was coming to our house and he's like, just put ESPN on, just put it on.
Ah!
And I still remember like, it's so hard and we've all gotten better at it, but you have to practice, right? Like you have to intentionally say, I need to check out. Like our minds just need space and quiet and calm. So it
Yep.
sounds amazing. Um, so, and you said kind of referred to this a few times, but it sounds like you can do these therapies anytime. Like you can do them back to back, you can do them after
Mhm.
exercise, you can do them completely by themselves. There's no good or bad time to do them, right?
No good or bad. We just put some stuff out on our social media that it's actually great post workout. So if you have already gone, you can come in, you're going to help flush lactic acid and stuff out of your body. Again, all of that muscle recovery, with both the infrared as well as the floating. We call a detox de-stress is a sauna then a float. And it is just lovely because you're all warm and gooey from the sauna, rinse off, and for the purity of the water, we just have you rinse all your sweat and everything off and then get into the float and you just slip into that relaxed state so much quicker in the float. So that's my favorite thing to do, but you can definitely do them separately. Post workout's fine. My husband, interestingly enough, he has run Ironman races. He bikes a lot and he gets into a zone two, like a recovery. So he likes to sit in the sauna and he did it on his Garmin. I was like, what are you doing in there? And he's like, oh, I'm just trying to see like heart rate where I am. And depending upon if he's laying down or sitting up, it varies slightly, but it's great for recovery. And I think that's another thing that's become really popular in the world of fitness is that we also have to recover, not just for our mental health, but you've got to give your body a
Hmm.
break, if you just go, 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 the risk for injury and, long-term, issues are there. So you can actually use it as, just a recovery day, but know that you're increasing your heart rate. You've got all these other benefits going on. But I do like it after a workout.
Gotcha. And I like the way you said this because the sauna with the detoxing and all that it's doing with the sweating and all that, it does sound good to do that and then
Mm.
slide into the float therapy if
Yes.
because I'm sure a hard part of all of this is finding the time to do it. So if you're able to
Time.
get there like twice a month or once a week or whatever it is, um, getting the most bang for your buck is
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
And again,
So
talking about frequency, we've got a 4 sauna a month membership, and I'm like, look, once a week is better than nothing. Like you're not getting,
absolutely.
just because there's UV rays in you, you're getting vitamin D and all that from the sunlight. It's different than infrared. It's a version of, or part of the spectrum of the light, but you need to be close to the infrared in order for it to be beneficial.
Well, and that's it with everything. If we just do the all or nothing, like I can't do it as much as you want, like you're never going to do it. Just
Right.
start, right? Even if it's
Right,
once a
right.
month, start, and then little by little you'll get to do twice a month, and then maybe you'll get into 3 times a month. Um,
Absolutely.
oh goodness, sorry about that. So
It's fine.
I knew that might happen at some point.
That's okay.
But we're getting close to the end. So tell us exactly where you are in Utah, where both of your studios are, and how people can find you, and then how people could maybe look up if there's one near them or what the closest one is near them.
Absolutely. So we are in Park City. We are in Redstone and Kimball Junction. So it's a very big, like shopping, restaurants, a lot of other health and wellness businesses in the area. And you can either reach us on Instagram, it's at Pure Sweat Park City. Going to the website will get you to all the locations. So the franchise website is Pure Sweat Studios with an s.com, and then you can go to locations, and like you said, we're growing nationally. There's I think 13 open right now nationally, with more coming. And then we also have South Jordan, and that's located in the district just outside of largest planned community in Utah called Daybreak, and that is Pure Sweat South Jordan. Again, you can go to our website. We also have a branded app. The back of it is Mind Body. So a lot of people with, booking massages and yoga and things like that are used to the Mind Body app. You can find us there as well as the other locations in the country. And then Pure Sweat Studios. There's Pure Sweat Sauna Studios and Pure Sweat Float Studios. So we're the blue bubble because we use sauna and float, and you can get on our app and contact us and buy sessions and look at specials and events that are coming.
And so you said your studio on Instagram is at Pure Sweat Park City. That's just your actual studio.
Yep, there's
Okay.
at Pure Sweat Park City and at Pure Sweat South Jordan. So those are the two currently in Utah.
Okay, very cool. I sure hope to get out there to see you at some
I
point.
would love that. Oh my
I would
gosh, I
love
would love
it.
it.
We've talked as a family. We've never really done the going out west for us, so I would love to do
Mm,
that sometime. And if I do, I will definitely try to get close to you. Um,
please.
so I'm so excited for you, Stacey, and I wish you all the best. And I love all of the wealth of information you shared with us today. Is there anything we missed or anything that you feel like you should share to?
I don't think so. I honestly believe, it's funny, we've heard more people talk. I'm not a TikTok, I'm a dinosaur. So I'm like
Yes.
TikTok, all these other like Twitter, I'm like, I can handle Instagram. But floating, people are coming in the studio saying, oh, I saw floating on TikTok. So I think that's interesting,
Oh, okay, that's
that it's
good.
getting out there, yeah, in a different platform and like more a wider age range of people becoming interested in it. But I honestly just think go try it. We have intro packs. So that's 3 floats or 3 saunas at a discounted rate. You made the perfect point of this is a practice. And so we set it up in a way like, here, come, here's, no major commitment. Buy 3 sessions, try it out a few times and see if it's for you. And so I think honestly, just trying this and finding out, you maybe you have a preference for one, maybe you love them both equally.
Yeah. And I think I just love that there's all these alternative therapies. And I think for so many, they see them as things that they can't do or can't. And I just want us all to start opening our minds because our body really can heal itself. And we really have given it so much that's toxic and it's not good
Hmm.
for it. And any way that you just like you just said, just try it. Just be
Hmm.
open-minded with all of the things. Just go try it and just see how it makes you feel. Like,
Yeah.
give it some time, try it a few times, but the science is there and people are experiencing it. And I always tell people, I go back to when I was in my master's in my exercise or in my physiology class, not even my exercise physiology, just my physiology class, when I realized how amazing our body is and
Hmm.
how what we do to it really does matter. We're not supposed to just keep withstanding all this stuff, and now we're finding ways to help, like, improve whatever we're feeling. So I love that you have these two studios, and I really wish I was closer, but when that one comes in Tampa, I will definitely figure out where it was and go try it. Um,
Perfect.
because it really sounds like such a good practice for people to add in their health journey. Sometimes even replacing, some people work out so much, which I'm a big proponent of moving, but sometimes
Hmm.
replacing one workout with something. If you can't find the time, like fitting something in that way, it's good.
Absolutely.
So that's how you and I were talking before, just about what we need at this stage of our life. And sometimes it's different than you've been doing for the last however
That's
many
right.
years.
That's right.
So
We have to continue to be flexible and mold into our, new and future selves.
yes. So well, I'm going to put all that good links and stuff in the show notes. But Stacey,
Perfect.
thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed reconnecting and enjoyed this conversation. I think it's such a good one, and I just learned so much. So thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you so much for joining me today and taking time to listen to this interview. If you enjoyed it, please share with a friend. Please leave a review, subscribe to the podcast, and I would love to know what you thought. Reach me at kelly@renato.com, KELLEY, or you can also log on to my website, kellyrenato.com, and join my weekly newsletter that goes out every Sunday with a bit of courage and just health tips of what's going on in my life and anything that I think also can help you. So thanks for being here and take care. Have a great week.